Today is officially 10.5 years since the death of perhaps one of the most interesting to watch goalkeepers we've ever seen in recent memory, Senzo Meyiwa. His death marked one of the darkest days ever in SA. It was just so sudden and so shocking. To be honest, for me, I was 8 years old at the time. Still feels like yesterday. And 10.5 years later, I still feel the same every time I think about it. It was just so shocking and sudden. We just saw him play a few days ago, and yet all of a sudden the man was murdered in his home in a failed robbery. That still is the story. It was just so dark. You just didn't expect something like that was gonna happen, especially because that was just shortly after Mandela had passed away as well. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, that was in 2013, roughly less than a year before Senzo had left us as well. Until this day, most of you wouldn't believe me if I told you this if you didn't know it yourselves, but we still haven't even found the culprit or aren't even close to finding the culprit of Senzo Meyiwa's death. Why do I say we're not even close to finding the culprit? Because if you're like me and you've been following the case for days and days on in this year, you'll notice that with each and every day going by, there's a new and new suspect coming forth. There's accused number 1, 2, 3, all the way to 1 million. There's just more and more stories popping up each and every day. You don't even know what's real and what's not anymore. One day it's his then girlfriend. The other day it's the dude that had the gun, and it was found out that he didn't even have the gun in the first place. And it's just this constant confusion. It's almost like this giant maze that was made in the movie The Matrix, or you're trying to solve a case in the movie Back to the Future, or Captain Hook made this very complicated treasure map that the policemen and everyone of the authorities are just trying to solve. It's just so frustrating. It's almost as frustrating as when you hear Pope Francis talking about the homosexuals. Whose side are you on? And isn't there money pumped into these cases? This case has been going on for 10 years, and it's only in the last year it was actually starting to be taken seriously again. Each and every day, channels like the SABC and ECNA are doing live streams of the court hearings happening. Now, my question is, this wasn't happening all the time, because there were some years this case was cold. There were full years like 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 15, that this case was not even spoken about. It was cold. Everyone forgot about it. And all of a sudden in 2021, we start hearing about it again. And since then, we haven't stopped hearing about it again. And you can just imagine how sad the family members of Meyiwa's are. How can you imagine how they feel right now? It's been 10 plus years, and yet your relative's culprit hasn't been found yet, because each and every day you're being told a different story. I'm not even trying to criticize them, but I am, in a sense, that they haven't found anything. Look, I'm not saying all cases should be solved quickly. There are some cold cases that have gone way worse than this. There's some cases that have taken 20, 30, 40, or even half a century or even more to be solved. But I truly believe in this case, there is corruption afoot. And I know I'm not the only South African who believes so, because they did admit that there was some bribery. There are some people who are still knowing of the truth but don't want to reveal it. There are still people right now out there who know exactly what happened that night, who know exactly who killed Senzo, who know exactly who organized the crime, who don't want to say shit. And that just makes it 100 times harder, because it already feels like this giant maze. So the people that don't come forward are making it even harder. It's just so frustrating. I can't even re-emphasize enough on how frustrating it is. It's also so sad. It's been 10.5 years. I was 8 years old at the time. I went through middle school, I went through high school, I finished high school, and Senzo Meyiwa's murderer still hasn't been found. That just baffles me, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it in any way. It's just so sad. It is such a sad case, and I feel so sorry for his family. Again, my condolences go to his family, and I hope something is done about this, because each and every day, I can't stand looking at the TV and watching these live streams of these judges and the court hearings and everything, because each and every day it's a different story. Well, sometimes, they extend the story and they talk about it more, and you just feel some hope. You know, I think that's why many South Africans still watch this. They still hope that one day the culprit will be found. And he will be found. Because according to me and my mother, who also has been following the case, she said it's starting to shape up a little bit. You know, more people are starting to speak out, and that's a great thing. But yeah, it's just another thing I just wanted to talk about today. You know, it's been 10.5 years since the death of perhaps one of the most promising goalkeepers we'd ever seen. Who am I kidding? He wasn't even promising. He was amazing. He was the captain of Orlando Pirates and Bafana Bafana. And if you were a fan of both, you enjoyed the man. He was a great goalkeeper. And, you know, there's other keepers right now in the PSL that are great, but he was just better. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. They're good now, don't get me wrong. The PSL players are good. They're okay, they try. But Senzo was just amazing. And the motive behind the murders and everything, I just hope it's found. And once again, condolences to his family. And yeah, that's about it. Just something else I wanted to cover with you guys today. All right, see ya.